Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Orlando. I'm Barbara Howe, a member of this congregation. With me in today's service are Reverend Margalie Belizaire, Director of Lifetime Religious Enrichment, Judith Stein-Farrell, Director of Music, Aubrey Conley-Candelario, and the Chalice Choir. Carla Fisher, Board Member Michael Lewis, and the Chinook and Champalbert family, Rachel Gardner, Nikki Drum, and special guests, Mac and Cheese. And of course, much gratitude to all of the wonderful 1U team whose efforts ensure that we're able to gather and worship this morning. You make it all happen. Please note that the nursery is open for toddlers to pre-K during the service. We welcome all to join us to explore our Unitarian Universalist faith, which draws us into community of justice seekers with a commitment to lifelong religious, spiritual growth and compassionate service to the community. Whoever you are, whoever you love, you are welcome here. You're welcome here. Regardless of your color, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, age, physical or mental abilities, economic status, or religious background. We welcome you. For more information about our congregation and announcements, go to orlandouu.org or email info@orlandouu.org. We have 3 special announcements today. The Friends of the New Image Youth Center is in need of individually wrapped and healthy snacks for the kids. They can be dropped off in Gore Hall after the service or in the volunteer space Monday through Friday before noon or sent directly to the center. Thanks. We're holding a call to all visual artists for pieces to be displayed in the sanctuary on May 7th. The Green Team is curating the worship service. The theme is Sacred Web. Please be sure to keep in mind the physical limitations of our space when designing your 7th principle themed works. We look forward to showcasing your creativity. All other announcements are on slides before and after the service, have links in the weekly update or on our website. Posted in the order of service, which you can access via your QR code. Thanks again for being here in person or online. The Chinook and Champalbert family are lighting the chalice.
Thank you so much. Today's words were chosen especially for Easter Sunday. Please join with me, Estelle and Richard, in reading the words above as we light the chalice. For holy days on which we recall the old stories, we light the flame. For Passover, which reminds us of the courage and strength of those seeking freedom in the past, we light the flame. For Easter, which reminds us that love is our greatest challenge, we light the flame. For gathering today in this sacred space, we light the flame. For the opportunity to be together as a community, to remember the past, to plan for our future, to be alive in the present. Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing our opening hymns, number 268 and 269. We'll sing the first verse of hymn number 268, Jesus Christ is risen today, and the first and third verses of hymn number 269. Lo, the day of days is here. Don't worry, though. The words will be projected on the screen.
Good morning. It is so good to be with you in community this morning, this Easter morning. And as a friend texted me this morning saying, Christ has risen and Margaret Lee has a birthday. What a for that way, the best part is yet to come. I'm just kidding. What a fortuitous coincidence. So, happy Easter all, and happy spring. It is spring. We don't want to miss it in Florida, right? May you get what you need on this day. We are continuing with the theme of resistance this month, and today we'll explore this theme in the context of the Jesus story. And with this in mind, I call us to worship with the words of Linda Susan Ulrich, Easter again. We live inside a paradox. Humans generally don't like to admit it. We much prefer tidy, stable, comprehensive, logical ways of getting through the day. But paradox is woven into the fabric of this particular universe we inhabit. Light is both a particle and a wave. Imaginary numbers describe the math of physical phenomena. Love and grief are intricately linked, as are rage and sorrow, suffering and compassion, life and death. Time itself is both linear and cyclical. Each person's life traces a single arc, yet patterns emerge and re-emerge. Fear always seems to return. Goodness knows terror finds its way back into the news. We always seem in need of to roll back big stones that block our way. Yet, we also come back to the Alleluia, even if its absence has gone on far longer than the 40 days of Lent. We raise each other's spirit when our sacred places seem empty. We anoint each other. We engage in demanding faith that asks us to love the next world into being today. We are joyful, though we have considered all the facts. We practice resurrection. It is Easter again, my friends, and you are surrounded by multitude who wish you well. And come, let us worship together this morning, and let's greet one another. So say hello, and of course, Aubrey will tell us when to stop.
I need to turn this on? We're good. Yes, there we go. I need to welcome Nikki and Rachel up to the mic this morning to introduce our special time for all ages guests. Meow. Is that what a fox says?
Today it is.
Okay, let's go with that. Good morning. I was hoping the children could join me up here. I am feeling a little wild this morning. I don't know about you. Come on up, everybody. Hi, it's so good to see you all this morning. There's a lot of great outfits today. Yes, hello everybody. I don't know if this ever happens to you, but sometimes I have a hard time sitting still in church. and I get a little squirmy, and it's like there's this wild thing inside me that just wants to jump out because I can't sit still. Or when I'm really hungry and I can't think of anything else but food, and I'm like, oh, you know how that feels, like I'm so hungry? Or I can't sit still. Or sometimes I can't go to bed when it's bedtime. I mean, I can't go to sleep, I get all squirmy, and it's like there's this wild thing inside of me that wants to jump on the bed. I feel like some people can relate here. Well, my friends Mac and Cheese are here to share a story about where the wild things are. So cool. Good morning. Happy Easter to y'all. My name is Mac, and this is Cheese. And we're a couple of wild things who came here today to read you all a story about a fellow wild thing. And it sounds like you can relate to what Mrs. Nikki was saying about feeling like you just have some wildness inside of you that is hard to get out. And so I wonder, what's your wild face look like? What's when you're feeling kind of wild? Adults can join in here too. Yeah, nice. We're gonna read about our fellow wild thing, and then there'll be some moments for rumpusing. I would like to invite you, if you would like, to let out a little bit of your inner wild thing. Okay. So this is called Where the Wild Things Are, that you might be familiar with, by Maurice Sendak. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind and another, his mother called him Wild Thing, and Max said, "I'll eat you up." So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew and grew and grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through the night and day, and in and out of weeks, and almost over a year, to where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars, and they gnashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws. Nice. Till Max said, "Be still," and tamed them with the magic trick of staring into all of their yellow eyes without blinking once. And they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all, and made him king of all wild things. Thank you. Thank you. Of the wild things. And now, cried Max, let the wild rumpus start.
Are you ready to rumpus a little bit? Are you ready to rumpus a little bit? Okay. Now stop, said Max, and sent them all off to bed. Max said, without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be somewhere where someone loved him best of all. Then, all around from far away across the world, he smelled good things to eat. Who knows? And he... It's true. So he gave up being king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, "Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so." And Max said, "No." The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and showed their terrible claws. Good. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye and sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. Let's see. And his supper was still hot. That's a really cool idea. It could be. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you for letting your rumpus out today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mac and Cheese. So, families, please join in supporting our children as they leave for the Easter egg hunt. They will proceed under the bridge of loving arms protecting them as we sing this Little Light of Mine. Children will meet me at the labyrinth for directions. Thank you.
Wow. Hi, guys. Happy Easter, happy Passover, Ramadan, and whatever spring rituals you feel inclined to honor. I was invited here today to share what inspires me to pledge to this church. I have been a member here since 1996. I know. Yep, that's right. You don't hardly ever see me. That's what I love about being here. I can come to this sanctuary and always feel at home, even when I don't attend regularly. Reverend Marnie Harmony married us here, had our children dedicated here, and I and some very bold and brave moms raised our children here. This church offers me history. It has been in my life even before those events. I was a volunteer for Hope and Help in 1991 when they rented out 2 rooms in the back. I was impressed by the way the church gave to the community. Hope and Help is a resource for HIV/AIDS. In those days, those people were considered to be immoral and evil. This church has always supported equality, freedom, and all that is good that makes the world a loving place. Because it does that and has always had my back, I give back. I want to share a story that a dear friend of mine gave me, and I thought I'd share with you. The glass in the mirror. There was a wealthy man who did not believe in contributing to the needs of poor and less than. One day, the rabbi came by, and he said, "Will you contribute to these people?" The man said, "No, I have no desire to give away my riches." The rabbi walked away to another part of the room and picked up a hand mirror, which was lying there. He said to the rich man, "Look into this mirror and tell me what you see." The rich man laughed at this foolish idea. After looking at the mirror, I see the same thing I would see in any other mirror, a picture of myself. Then the rabbi said to the man, "Now go to the window and look into the street and tell me what you see." The man did so, and he said, "Why, I see nothing extraordinary, just an ordinary street scene. What is so unusual about what I see and that you think I should pay attention to?" "I just see the ordinary life around me." "Exactly," the rabbi said. "That's just the point I wanted to bring out. When one looks through the window and he sees life, but when he looks into a mirror, he sees only himself. Giving is the way that we are able to see through the glass and be a part of life. I leave you with this: dar porque quieres, y no porque debes. Give because you want to, not because you're supposed to. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Michael Lewis, a member of the Board of Trustees. We invite you now into the practice of generosity. It is one of our spiritual values which sustains the life and the ministries of the church community. Let us be grateful for the opportunity to give, for it is a privilege to be able to do so. And let us be grateful for our needs, for they give us the opportunity to practice receiving. The Share the Plate partner for the month of April is Adult Literacy League. Please use the link in the newsletter or on the screen to donate directly to them. Please let one you know that you have donated. Today's full collection will go to the ministries of this congregation. The offering will now be collected. Note that you can also give online using the link. let us joyfully receive what is offered here today in the spirit of gratitude and fellowship.
This is the time that we set aside for deep sharing of our hearts and for prayer and meditation. If you have a sorrow you need witnessed or help with, or you have a joy you wish to share, please contribute to a collective sharing of joys and sorrows to be read each Sunday during worship. You can email at joysandconcerns@orlandouu.org during the week, or in person, you can fill out a card. And I have to grab a couple of cards. You can fill out a couple of cards at the welcome table, and make sure that we get them up here to share. And also, you can silently come with your joy and sorrow and participate in our silent lighting of the candles. So bring your joys, bring your concerns, come as you are into this space. All of you is welcome here. And today we have a couple of joys and sorrows to share. We'll start with the flowers. We have the one here and back there, and they are provided in honor of Reverend Margulies' birthday. And also the 1-year anniversary of our installation, you know, like when we got married, the congregation and I. Yes. Yeah. Libby shares thank you to Marianne Horn for selecting the delightful material, and Bev for sewing our spring Easter banners, and of course, thank you to Dan and Marianne's husband. Marianne's husband has a name, I'm sure, for helping with the installation. Isn't this beautiful? Thank you. And I see another Joyce. This is from Joan, who sent joy for my birthday and the installation a year ago. Woohoo! And we invite you all for cake after service at social hour to celebrate both. Joan and all of us send you happy anniversary and best wishes. Thank you. We also have Joy from Joy. This is my daughter, Rochelle, recently married a wonderful young man, Alex. They both start their new medical career in NYC soon. Debbie Reinhardt. So I apologize. This is from Debbie Reinhardt back there. Yes. Ben wishes all of us a happy Easter, and thank you to Linda for all year flowers to my home, Ben says, and to Mike and Marty Haddad for bringing me to church. Now, the Peabody family is concerned because Ethan cannot find his egg. So, if anyone knows its whereabouts, please let him know. And this is a concern. Please keep your good thoughts and healing energy with the Cook family tomorrow, as Richard is getting surgery for prostate cancer and will be recovering at home for a couple of weeks. We are hoping this surgery will mean no chemo or radiation down the road. So, I don't see Richard here. I know I saw Rhonda. Rhonda must have gone out with the children, but please, let's send the cook and Richard, let's send Rhonda and Karina just love and healing energy as they go through this difficult time. And from the larger community, we continue to be impacted by gun violence. So may there be gun reform. We continue to be I am so sorry. I'm being shown something back there that I must be missing. So at some point, Gabby, if you would come up and let me know what I'm missing, okay? We hold the fears and sorrows of all those who are affected by brutality from war and other situations that are beyond their control. Let us send loving kindness to all those in crisis, pain, and are suffering, especially due to conditions that are beyond their control. And for all the joys and sorrows, those shared and those held close to the heart, let us pray, let us celebrate, and let's send each other healing energy. I offer into this space this spring blessing with the words of Karen Herring. May our hearts be open to the lengthening daylight. May our roots draw up water from the softening earth. May our winter bare branches relax and release into buds and to leaves. May the sweetness within us rise and fall, rise and fall. Now let it come, the new shoots, the new blooms, the new life, now emerging. And we invite you now to participate in our candle lighting ritual, understanding it is an invitation to stillness and reflection and see what wisdom bubbles up from within us. If you are willing and able, we encourage you to focus your energy on the path of resistance. And if not, please find some other way to use this time to reflect deeply. I have one less concern or sadness to share with you. Libby sent this one. Anita Thompson had a mild to moderate stroke earlier this week and is now home recovering. She looks forward to cards or phone calls to chat or to set up a visit. So let's send her healing energy and a wish for speedy recovery. He has risen. It is Easter, dear ones. The children are outside searching for Easter eggs, and we are in here unpacking what this Christian holiday might mean to us as Unitarian Universalists. Sounds like you drew the short straw. Okay. Easter, as you know, is a Christian holiday that celebrates the resurrection of the central figure, Jesus Christ, of its central figure, Jesus Christ. Jesus is viewed by what we know of him from biblical texts and scholars. He's known for many things, one of which is bucking the establishment of his time. He had a clear understanding that simply because something was law didn't make it just. Accordingly, he resisted what was unjust. There are many today who are committing all sorts of unjust acts that they might describe as them resisting and following Jesus' example. But I see their actions more as a display of stubbornness, to say the least, than acts of resistance. So let's explore with me the difference between resistance and stubbornness. While these two terms may seem similar on the surface, they have distinct differences that can impact our relationships, our interactions with others, and our overall spiritual growth. Resistance is the refusal to accept or comply with something, the attempt to prevent something by action or argument. Stubbornness is having or showing dogged determination not to change one's attitude or position on something, especially in spite of good arguments and reasons to do so. So, as you can see, there's a fluidity with resistance in that it is open to argument, while stubbornness digs in, and I like how it says especially in spite of good arguments and reasons, right? And we see a lot of that nowadays. Resistance, when rooted in love and in spirituality, can be a powerful force for positive change. It can be a deliberate act of affirming our values, confronting injustice, and defending our community in the world. It can involve advocating for the marginalized and upholding our convictions in the face of opposition. And resistance can bring about transformation and promote righteousness. On the other hand, stubbornness is often rooted in self-will and pride and resistance to change. It can manifest as an unyielding attitude, an unwillingness to listen to others, and a refusal to consider alternative perspectives. Stubbornness can hinder our spiritual growth, damage relationships, and keep us from our call. It can lead us down a path of self-righteousness and stubbornly clinging to our own opinions and desires. So, as we journey through the Bible, we see the man Jesus demonstrating acts of resistance that teach us valuable lessons about navigating challenging situations with grace, wisdom, and faith. Whether or not we believe him to be real or a myth, he was the embodiment of truth and love, and he resisted injustice in all its forms. He boldly confronted the Pharisees and the religious leaders of his time who were hypocritical and oppressive. He often challenged their hypocrisy and exposed their false teachings, even though it made him unpopular and subjected him to opposition. In Mark 11, verses 15 and 18, Jesus entered the temple and drove out those who were buying and selling, overturning tables of the monkey changers and those selling doves. He proclaimed, "My house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations, but you have made it a den of robbers." His actions were a bold act of resistance against corruption and exploitation, demonstrating that sometimes resistance is necessary to confront injustice. He also encouraged his disciples to resist authorities who tried to silence their preaching, who wanted to suppress their voices. Jesus also spoke for the marginalized and the outcast of society, and he resisted the pressure to conform to societal expectations and to compromise his mission. His resistance was courageous and aligned with his values. His resistance was rooted in an unwavering love for humanity. His example teaches us that resistance is not easy. In fact, if we go by how he was tortured and eventually killed, we might conclude that it is part and parcel of suffering. Yet, his resistance is unwavering despite facing rejection, betrayal, and persecution. In Luke 22, verse 42, Jesus prayed to God, his Father, saying, "Father, if you are willing, remove this cup from me," but continues, "Nevertheless, my will, Not my will, but yours be done. So he was afraid there and was in anguish, but he ultimately carried out his mission to sacrifice his life for humanity. And I mentioned this particular act to point out that resistance generally has a greater goal and is not about being stubbornly attached to our own desires. In many circles today, we often see people who call themselves followers of Christ use a different approach, sometimes stubbornly disguised as resistance. We see a refusal to engage in dialogue with those who hold different views, a rigid adherence to personal opinions and interpretation of Scripture, and a combative attitude toward those who disagree. This kind of stubbornness can hinder one's ability to effectively engage others and, again, damage relationships and hinders one's own growth. So, how do we discern the difference between resistance and stubbornness in our lives? Here are some key differences. Humility and grace. Resistance can be characterized by humility and grace, an acknowledgement that we are all fallible human beings who are not all-knowing and therefore should be open to learn and partner with those who are knowledgeable about a social issue and be willing to follow their lead. Stubbornness, on the other hand, can be characterized by self-righteousness, by a self-righteous attitude and a lack of grace towards others who hold different views. Love and compassion. Resistance ought to be motivated by love and compassion for others, seeking their well-being, advocating for the marginalized. Stubbornness, however, can often result in a judgmental and divisive attitude that drives people away from one another. Openness to dialogue. Resistance ought to involve a willingness to engage in respectable dialogue with one another, seeking to understand another's perspective. But it doesn't mean allowing ourselves to be trampled on. Stubbornness, on the other hand, can lead to closed-minded attitudes that dismisses or attacks opposing views without a willingness to listen or engage in constructive conversation. Flexibility. Resistance can involve flexibility and adaptability to changing circumstances, while stubbornness tends to be rigid and inflexible. Ultimately, though, resistance means taking a stance against injustice, confronting it wherever we encounter it, advocating for the marginalized, and speaking out for those who cannot speak for themselves. As a people of faith who are called to social justice, we must be discerning in our actions. We should seek wisdom from words and deeds of other people and organizations involved in justice work and be willing to humbly listen to others. We should be open to change when we learn what is better and should always try to strive to bear fruits that promote righteousness. On this Easter, as we reflect on these examples from the Jesus story, we can glean valuable insight about finding that sweet spot between stubbornness and resistance in our own lives. We can learn that resistance is not about being unyielding in our own opinion or preferences, but about being firm on truth and on fighting injustice. We can learn that resistance requires discernment, wisdom, and it comes with challenges. May we be inspired by the man Jesus' unwavering commitment to resistance, and may it empower us to live out our call with courage and conviction. May it be so. And now please rise and body your spirit and join me in singing hymn number 1000 and the teal hymnal, Morning Has Come. who celebrate the resurrection of Jesus, may this day be another affirmation of divine love and promise. For all those who see the eternal story of new spring and life beginning anew, may you breathe deeply of a season of promise and hope. For all those who are experiencing despair or hopelessness this Easter, may you find in the darkness or depression a doorway to light and warmth that offers you freedom. For all of us, together we can do what no one isolated person can do. Rolling the heavy stone away reminds us we are far more powerful than we ever could be on our own. Beloveds, worship has ended, and now the service truly begins. And I have a call for action for you from our Justice Council. The Florida House is considering an anti-trans bill, HB 1421, called Gender Clinical Interventions. It criminalizes gender-affirming care that could enable the state to take children away from parents, penalizes doctors, and prohibits persons' biological sex from being changed on birth certificates. Do I hear a congregational woo? Okay. Okay, so today after worship, if you would go to the Justice Council table in Gore Hall and sign a pre-addressed and pre-printed postcard that will be sent to the officials, letting them know how we don't think this is a good idea at all. Yes, and also the Green Team needs you, needs volunteers to help with shifts of an hour or two at the 1U booth at Lake Eola on Saturday, April 22nd. Various leaders of the Green Team will be there all day, but your help is needed. So bring your families, and if you can help and you'd like to sign up, get in touch with the Green Team, either at the table in there or greenteam@orlandouu.org. Or see Mary. Mary's right there. All right, so now,
please say these words with me as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.